Hundreds of employees, including myself, were laid off with little warning, said a former PosiGen employee who spoke on condition of anonymity. But if you are not remaining smart in this industry, it will consume you, and then you'll end up being just another rep who ends up in life insurance. Ooh! Hi there, welcome to Real Sales Dynamics, where we break down in-field sales footage in order to get you better at door knocking. Today, we're going to do a quick little summary of what's going on in solar right now. Unfortunately, with all the changes that are occurring in this industry, it is vital that you are aware of what's going on, not only with your installers, but what's going on, more importantly, with finance companies, and unfortunately also what's going on federally. So recently, we got some good news when it comes to TPO products. That means third-party operated products like power purchase agreements and leases. Rather than those going away due to safe harbor by 2028, that has been extended all the way out to right at the end of 2030. What does that mean for you? Well, as long as the company starts construction earlier than then, and by the way, starts construction simply means buying at least, I believe, 10% of the total product, then that customer can actually qualify for it. Why is this happening, right? So they got rid of the solar tax credit for homeowners. That allowed for, let's say, the cash deal I just sold last week. For that customer, when I sold them a $30,000 deal, because they're getting it installed before the end of this year, they're gonna get 30% cash back at the end of the year based off of, obviously, their federal liability, right? It's not a rebate, it's a credit based off of how much they actually spend in federal income taxes. The reason that's going away, but they're keeping the big corporate TPO thing going on, is because that benefits large-scale corporations. And this particular administration loves benefiting large, multi-scale corporations because he likes running them, and he likes feeling like he's negotiating every single time he's dealing with anyone. So it makes him feel special and empowered, and it also prevents some of these stocks from completely crashing. On the last episode that I talked about the big beautiful bill, I actually stated in there, you know, at any point, Sunrun stock could go up 40% or down 40%. And literally the day we released that the stock for Sunrun went up 40%. So I said this wasn't a place for investment news. I still actually state that. That was luck, but it was fun. And speaking of things that aren't as lucky, the New Jersey Blitzes, which I've promoted a lot over the course of this last year and a half. So with New Jersey Blitzes, the whole benefit was, hey, it's a saturated market, but people can get solar where credit doesn't matter. And boy, was it good. There were gentlemen out there making literally $1.5 million, $2 million in a year selling solar. And I repeatedly stated, it's gonna end at some point, right? Just like all good things, but especially a product in which you are selling solar to people with 500 credit scores, there's a good shot those people aren't going to make their payments because they already have a history of showing that. And recently, Solar Power World Online ran an article about exactly what happened when it came to PosiGen, which was the finance company. So we're gonna run into that a little bit here. Quick public service announcement. If you're trying to make $100,000 just in the course of 10 days and you wanna do it while working with the best people in the solar industry, you need to click down below at flblitz.com. In previous blitzes, we had Ben Grossman, Michael O'Donnell, and a league of other individuals who won the Golden Door Award, getting over 100 to 200 installs in just 1 year. If you wanna learn how to do it, you gotta work with the best people. Click down below, flblitz.com. So National Residential Solar Installation Company, PosiGen, laid off nearly all of its employees yesterday. PosiGen CEO Peter Sharper sent a memo addressed to all employees attributing the layoffs to lack of funding from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. He stated it was because of that, but insiders that I know state that the cracks were showing up way earlier than that, where they started missing payments, right? Hundreds of employees, including myself, were laid off with little warning, said a former PosiGen employee who spoke on condition of anonymity, right? Contractors partners were left unpaid. Families who trusted our mission of solar for all were left in limbo. And the moment that I heard that this PosiGen thing was falling through, I started messaging guys that I knew, right, in the industry. And unfortunately, for some of them, not the guys from the Blitz that I ran in New Jersey Blitz, all of those guys were already told, hey, stop throwing those deals in, right? So we took care of those dudes to make sure they weren't screwed over. But I talked to another number of people who were continuing to sell PosiGen deals. And I messaged them like, hey man, you gotta stop. And what was crazy was a lot of those guys left my New Jersey Blitz to go run it with another company who we didn't verify. And what happened as a result? They continued to throw in production because the greedy installer wasn't listening to all of the signs. And the signs weren't like ominous signs. They were, we haven't gotten paid in a month, and kept telling those reps to keep selling deals. And the biggest comparable I could see to that was when Sonova stopped paying us, right? When I was working at a company, we were throwing in boatloads of deals. We did a bunch of Sonova projects, and then out of nowhere, the pay started coming in, and I started telling everyone, I was like, hey, we're not gonna put in any more Sonova deals until they pay us, right? The installer at the time goes, no, man, run another Blitz. I took all those reps, brought them over to another company. That company ended up going under because he kept telling the reps who stayed on to keep selling. They went completely into debt and ended up getting consumed by Freedom Forever, and they are no longer in existence. Why am I bringing up these things? Because a lot of times if you got a guy who's, I don't know, been around the industry for a long time, who tells you maybe it's time to stop selling that stuff, and you get greedy, at that point, it's on you, right? And with PosiGen, one of the things that really just like blew my mind in the conversation was that the PosiGen employee said, this collapse is a lesson for the entire solar industry, right? Yes, PosiGen leadership failed in transparency, accountability, but it's also true that federal policies are squeezing renewable energy companies to the breaking point. Yeah, but also you could have learned that lesson from SunPower, right? Who went under, right? 100-year-old company went under. You could have learned that lesson from Sonova, but no one really wants to learn the lesson. They just want the free money. And boy, I understand when you hear the money machine, you want to just keep selling as many deals as possible. But if you are not remaining smart in this industry, it will consume you, and then you'll end up being just another rep who ends up in life insurance. Ooh! And that is not where you want to end up being. I think it's a perfect fucking take.
It was hilarious.
I think it's the best take I've ever done anything in my entire life. I think we're done. I think.
So wild. Yep.
Because I tied in all the things that you brought up.
Yeah, the lower red line, many times equals no pay.
1 second and then we're getting back to the episode. If you are a fan of this channel and my content in general, I'm Real Garrett Frazier on Instagram. I've been with Real Sales Dynamics from day one. I was in some of the early episodes. Now I'm making all of the episodes. If you want to find out how to develop a personal brand like this, like the Wolf of Solar, like some of our other clients that I work with, Lee Haight, follow me on Instagram, Real Garrett Frazier. But otherwise, let's go ahead and get back into the episode.
The last bit of advice that's going to be relevant to this and just solar as a whole moving forward. There's a lot of you out there who want to go start your own little dealers and companies and all that stuff. And boy, if you're the type of guy who can actually pull that off and you have a group of people, Godspeed to you. There's some guys out there who absolutely knock you out of the park. But if you're in a situation in which you are trying to chase the lowest possible red line almost always means not getting paid or the installer lying and reneging on their terms, right? Just like a PosiGen, if it sounds too good to be true, probably is. Stating that, if you're in a market in which the normal red line's 250 and someone is giving you a 310, you might also want to have a conversation just to make sure. Somewhere in the middle ground, also while at the same time verifying that the installer is going to be able to stick around over the course of this next couple years. If you guys want advice on that, you can hit me up on Instagram via The Wolf of Solar. You can also hit us up at Real Sales Dynamics. But you can also do the smartest thing possible, which is to join us on one of our blitzes, whether in Florida, Minnesota, or even California. Cali's back, baby. They are throwing down tons of PPAs over there and making oodles of money. You can contact us through realsalesdynamics.com, flblitz.com. Either way, we can get you coordinated to anywhere in the country that's actually going to make sense with verified installers who are going to pay you on time. And on that note, make sure to click subscribe down below and click on one of these two little videos. YouTube thinks you're going to like it a lot.